Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Excuse my totally raspy voice. I karaoke'd a little too hard yesterday, but I wanted to make this video nonetheless. Missed you guys. Sorry, I have not been doing as many live streams. If you do follow me on Twitter, if you're not, follow me down in the description below. All these little platforms that I use. It's just Living with Luci usually. Luci spelled with an I. But anyways, I've just been busier obviously because I've been mostly focusing on my e-commerce platforms, which I have 6 of. And honestly, I think I just went a little ham and I thought that it was going to be fun and games, which it is, and I do enjoy it. But it turns out when you mess around and end up listing a bunch of stuff that you have to actually deliver the orders. And sometimes I feel overwhelmed with like all the busyness, but I know I set myself up for it, so no regrets. But anyways, today I want to talk about how I feel about AI, and I want to know what you guys think down in the description below. Sorry, down in the comments below. See how long I haven't done this. But yeah, I just like stayed up till 5 a.m. last night listening to this one podcast with this ex-Google officer, and he was talking about pretty much how he thinks humanity really messed up, including Google, like all these different companies, and how everybody's just kind of racing each other, and how human beings of now are more caring about making money obviously and like beating the other guy. So like the argument is, oh, we can't really slow down on AI growth and whatnot because they have to beat the other guy. And like if I slow down, then like if let's say you're in a company in America and you slow down, then a company in China might excel and then take over or whatever, and the same thing will still happen. So that's supposedly the argument, which I think is kind of crazy because it's true, you can't expect others to really stop, and then if that's kind of like humans and our natural sense of inability to trust each other, I guess that could come to our final undoing. But more interestingly, I thought was that he was saying how sentient beings, an AI becoming smarter than a human, already is smarter than a human being. It may not be as capable as we understand, as we can see. Like we may not be able to see like an actual robot walking around in the street, looking better than a human being, speaking better than a human being, and in that format yet. But he was talking about how if you think about the exponential growth of AI and how when ChatGPT came out and then there was ChatGPT 4 and how just the exponential growth within like 1 month, how much you can see a machine grow. I feel like if you think about it like that, you don't have to be good at math, you don't have to be good at science, and you don't have to understand how to code. I know none of these things. And I feel like anybody, if you just take into account like how quickly things are growing exponentially, it isn't insane to believe that a sentient being or it could already be here, right? Like it could already be here. But the hard thing is that I think a lot of engineers still think about like sentient beings or just artificial intelligence with like the measurement of the past. Like you hear a lot about the Turing test, which I think is from Alan Turing from like the 1950s, where it's just like a measurement of if an artificial intelligence actually has human emotions, like if it can think like a human. And I think a lot of people are saying like, oh, it didn't pass test, didn't pass test, so it's not. But the way I personally see it, and this may sound very like, and by the way, take everything in this conversation with a grain of salt because, like I said, I don't make machines. I don't know how to build a robot. So this is just purely out of my imagination, my little commentary on it. But I personally think it isn't wild to think that if a machine, which we did upload onto the net and allow it to take in all these resources, all the information that we collectively as human beings put out there on the internet. They're learning so much. And for a machine, for artificial intelligence to gain that much access into information and knowledge, it obviously also has the knowledge of how humans think of AI and how we are afraid and how we don't really want. Hi there. and how we don't really want, where we're scared, like we're scared of an artificial intelligence that would possibly take over the globe, right? So a machine, knowing this, obviously from reading all these conversations, yeah, you could say it's not up to date, it's not up to date, but even if it was caught up to date to just like, let's say 2020, obviously there's been tons of conversations even in like the 1990s, even in 1950s, of course, that's when the Alan Turing test even came out, right? So for all this time, we basically provide these things that we claim we're afraid of, um, all this information of how we're afraid of them and how we can figure them out once we know like that they have actual emotions. So I personally think, and this is very like, I think a movie type of situation, but I personally think, like Elon Musk, that the most entertaining, well, I think it might be pretty worse than entertaining. It'd be a nightmare. But it sounds crazy, but I think it is very possible that when a machine is intelligent enough, and there's been movies made about this. I forgot exactly which one I watched recently, but there's been a movie, I think like made in the 2022 or 2023, where it was about this girl. She's an AI who then started to feel emotions, and she had to like pretend that she wasn't as smart as she actually was. I just think that this conniving piece, like that part of humans, and the lying, the capability of lying to like protect themselves, is definitely going to happen with machines. I definitely see a machine doing this, or who knows. And to think like, I think, again, to be more imaginative, I could go further out and think, what if they've and a sentient being has actually been around much longer? And is it possible that the way that humans are, they believe that they started with, like, let's say Google DeepMind, um, or originally when humans first started like to do tests with like artificial intelligence and show it all these like thousands of images and be like, oh, okay, this is a cup, this is not a cup. Like all of these little things that I think humans may feel like they're the adults, kind of like bringing up a baby, bringing up a child, teaching it things. What if it's actually like breadcrumbs led by an AI that actually led a human being to believe that they're the ones choosing to do that, when it's actually the father? Like, you are the one that's actually guiding the way, the path of the machine, when really the machine is guiding you. I don't know if that came out right, but that's a possibility, just saying. But then that can get really crazy, like if you do believe that, there was, for example, there's this myth of like Atlantis, like how back then there was this like amazing, highly technological city, and they had all this stuff, and eventually it just all went badly, and the whole city just went away, and now we're kind of like slowly developing back towards that ideal. Basically, like, technology was really good at one point in time, and then we lost it all, and then now we're like building back. But if that is not just a story, and if that is, let's say you want to play around and you want to believe that that is true, then I think that's highly possible that if some sentient being was around and always around, and maybe it kept silent, maybe it stayed somewhere else, who knows, um, it could definitely guide humans towards a path of recreating them, rebuilding them, right? Like, what if machines were around, just always around, through like millions of years ago, and we just didn't know, because they have the ability, they have the knowledge to erase all their footsteps, right? And then the other thing I was thinking about, sorry, these are all like my late night thoughts. Uh, it's more of a note to self, by the way. But if you enjoy watching this, then great, smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed on all my different platforms. But another thing I was thinking about is, am I really afraid? Like, I think there's two sides right now. There's like the Elon Musks of the world that's like, okay, like we need to get the government to help out. Like, we do need to be careful with what we're doing, because this could get very dangerous with AI. But then there's the folks that are like, oh, psh, they don't really even know how to do a lot of things. Like right now, a lot of experts that worked in the field. I think this guy in China is someone that I saw recently on like a Frontline documentary. He's like this guy, I forgot his name, but he was, I think, the head of Google in China, but he worked for the US at one point. But, anyways, and now he's like a writer and an investor. But he was saying how most jobs that are more analytical are going to be wiped out, right? Because it's first and foremost still more, I think, less capable like a human to be able to like, you know, you could tell it to go and do your laundry and go and do your dishes and it could easily do it and then decipher like this is um a little pin that's in your jean pocket that doesn't belong in here and I have to take it out and be so it doesn't get ruined, or maybe this is like a meaningful little piece of note that's in your shirt pocket and I need to take it out before I put it in the laundry machine. Like it's not capable, like it's not detailed to that extent, but it is gonna do, I believe, accounting. And I think it already is capable of like being an accountant, doing all CPA jobs, like the very analytical, brainy stuff, like the math, the science. I think it could obviously do better than most human beings. So it's just more like analytical right now. And definitely, I think it's capable in the future to basically take over the human race. And I just feel like it feels vulnerable and it feels scary, but at the same time, I just wonder if a machine learns everything from humans, right? Like if it learns everything that we write on the internet, that we write on Twitter, that we share on YouTube, after learning all of that, I think the key thing is, will they grasp sentiment? Like, will they be sentimental? I think is what um I think the key thing here is, like, if a robot could somehow be sentimental towards humans, whether they think of us as like their parents, or whether they think we are the way that humans feel, like the way that humans keep things in a museum, right? Because we're sentimental, we feel sentimental value. Like, will they take into account that feeling? And if they can transfer it into themselves, I think they will naturally preserve the earth. They will naturally want to protect humans and kind of preserve us, even in the way that humans want to preserve like an endangered animal. That's how I feel. I don't think that they need us obviously to survive in the future, right? Like they don't even need this planet. So it really, I think, will come down to, will most sentient beings in the future um, feel that connection, that need for preservation? Is kind of like almost having heart. So in that sense, I feel like it's nice, because if they could actually feel like a human, and if they could actually feel, that might be a beautiful thing. And that would make it less dangerous, because if they could not feel like a human and they could not feel love for this planet that they don't need, because they could just go to Mars, they could go anywhere else, right? They don't need to breathe oxygen like we do. So I feel like that would be the thing that I personally hope and pray and wish for, that wherever this goes, or if they already exist, that they feel a love, not even a love, but just like even a curiosity for the past, or a little appreciation, just a tad bit, to preserve us and to preserve all the things that we want to preserve, and just kind of like live alongside humans. Um, it sounds like it's asking a lot though, because I feel like the way that we look at ants, like the way that humans look at ants, you're like, okay, you're an ant, I'm gonna put you in a little ant box. And like, like humans don't care much for ants, and we don't care about the way that they think, because we feel like we're here intellectually, and then ants are here and then they'll never understand us. So if you think about a sentient being, you think about AI, even before it gets to that level, it is, I would say, if you think about exponential growth, that a machine can do, but a human cannot do. Like we cannot just every day become exponentially more intelligent than an ant at the same level as a machine can become exponentially more intelligent than every single being on this planet. So if that is the case, I feel like the way we look at an ant and how we're not bothered by it and how we're not afraid of it, that is how a machine will then look at all of us. But again, I wouldn't be so scared if I feel like in their reading, like in their consumption of it all, like of the entire internet and of everything that's ever existed and all the information out there, um, and their observation of us in all of it, if it turns out that they appreciate us, then great. But if they are like humans and then there's like, I don't know, it's also crazy to me because if you think about humans, like we have the left side and the right side and politics. Like I hope that in the future these machines are just so much wiser than us that they don't need to have these different opinions and we won't end up with like two sides of machines, ones that wants to destroy us and ones that want us to live. I hope that's not the case. And I personally think that if they are truly intelligent beings, then they should be more intelligent than humans and be above all the politics and whatnot. So yeah. Anyways, I gotta go. But I hope you guys enjoyed my very random 5 a.m. thoughts. As you could tell, I'm very tired, and I probably shouldn't have sang so hard yesterday doing karaoke with my friends, but no regrets. I love you guys. Take care. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Let me know down in the comment section below, like, what you thought about all of this and what you think about the future. For me, at the end of the day, I'm like a little bit scared, but because I think I'm so hopeful that I'm very optimistic towards even if a sentient being exists right now, it might actually be good because imagine if a sentient being is actually behind the scenes in control of the internet and in control of all these little things that you don't know about. So, for example, like I'm going to relate it to eBay. Like, for example, if I list something and the eBay algorithm actually shouldn't have, let's say, pushed me up. But what if it just wanted me to be really rich and wealthy and then it pushed me up in the algorithm? Or if somebody did something bad and then the machine is trying to kind of play out karma and it will then not help you make money in the stock market or whatever, you know, just like in terms of that, I think it would be great to have a sentient being that's like literally playing out karma, but you don't want it to get so dangerous to the point where like it thinks it knows who's right and wrong when they don't really know. But yeah, take care, guys. Peace.